let's take a task like email for an example. That's
Email
something.
sucks.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Absolutely
like
hate it.
it's so bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would argue even as high, as you're becoming more and more of a thought leader, your time, insight, etc., whatever is becoming in a much higher demand, even amongst all the partners, all that kind of stuff, amongst HubSpot people, everything. So how do but at the same time, you're still relatively good at responding to email and getting back with people and remembering to do that. So how do you and you can use that and go as specific as you want with email, or you could just take that as an example and say, like, how do you take tasks that just frankly suck, but are like necessary to like re-engineer them to match your life? So again, take that question however you want.
I'll use email because I think both of us and probably you watching both deal with email. And so the problem with email is that, and it's even worse now with Slack and like some of the messaging apps and stuff like that, and Twitter, is that we feel like there's some type of sense of urgency that we need to respond right away. We're in such a like instant gratification culture that if we shoot an email off to someone, we kind of expect an email back right away. The reality is that the word's not going to burn, the building's not going to explode if it takes you a little bit of time to respond at certain times. And so I think the first thing is, if we're talking tactical, the first thing is like set up all your filters to kind of filter out all the stuff that really just doesn't matter, right? The distracting stuff, all that, the stuff that is just kind of cluttering up your inbox. I think the second thing is, so this comes from the Getting Things Done book, which is real famous. It's kind of written back in the 80s, so it's all applied to more paperwork related stuff, but you can use that same system for email. So I'll put in, basically when I do check my email, and I try and check it just certain blocks of the day. So I have an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon blocked off, where that's when I open up my email and I take a look at it. I don't always stick to that, but I try and do it the best I can. And outside of that, I just close my email and hopefully focus on my other stuff. During those times, I look and I say, is this something that I can respond to in under 2 minutes? Cool. Then I'll just crank out a quick email, usually it's like a sentence or two, and I'll just get all those out of the way. Then I'll go and look at, okay, I got all those out. What are the ones that are basically urgent or immediate, and what are ones that I can follow up with later? Like sometimes someone's just requesting a link or something like that. It's not something that I need to respond to right away.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'll just dump it into a folder. It's called respond to later. I'll dump it in a folder, and I'll essentially do that kind of email whenever I have a little bit more downtime, or when I'm kind of in a, I really try and structure my day around the way I know my brain works. In the morning, I'm in some kind of mode. I'm very much a heads down worker, so I try and really focus on heads down stuff. I try and push all my meetings to the afternoon, because in the afternoon I know my brain works better with collaboration and working with other people. And so when I look at where I schedule those email blocks, I try and schedule them in times when I know that that type of a task fits with what my normal kind of mindset is at that time of the day. So I'll dump all those non-essential, non-urgent ones in the side, and then whatever's left, I'll just start cranking away. When I run out of time, I run out of time. So I think if you were looking at for some kind of like framework, is first kind of look at like, this comes from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You say like, is this something that's urgent and important? Okay, those are the ones where you should focus your time. Is it not urgent and important? That's kind of like, okay, put that in your backlog. We're going to take a look at that when we get some downtime. Then there's, not urgent, not important. That's the stuff you just disregard. And then you have, urgent, not important. And again, that's kind of the stuff that you can assess kind of on a case-by-case basis. So I think you kind of have to mentally start going through those filters and see what is really where you need to spend your time and energy and things like that. So the other way you can do it too, I used to do this, is I'll tag email based off of kind of like, because I commute, so every day I commute an hour or a half hour, and I'm on the subway, and so if there's email I know I can just crank through while I'm out on the subway, I'll just tag it with like subway, and then that's my like to do as I'm on the subway, is just cranking through all those responses and things like that.